Hi everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to crochet a 6-inch mini stocking. They're a great size to hang on your tree or to use them for decorating, but they're also the perfect size if you want to fill them with some candy or some treats or maybe a gift card and use it as just a gift bag. Lots of wonderful uses for the mini Christmas stocking. You'll find the pattern on my blog, and I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. All of these stockings that I made are made out of medium weight number 4 worsted weight acrylic yarn, which is a number 4 medium. Some of them are Red Heart Super Saver. Some of them are just some yarns I had on hand. The sparkle yarns are I Love This Yarn from Hobby Lobby. So you can use any medium weight number 4 yarn. And you can even use a cotton or a cotton blend, just as long as it's a medium weight number 4. It doesn't take very much, less than an ounce. And for our demonstration today, I'm going to be making the main part of the sock in the gold, and the toes and the heel and the trim in this spring green. These are both Red Heart Super Savers that I had on hand. I believe this is called gold and this is spring green, but I don't have the wrappers anymore. But you can use any colors that you want. I mean, I even made this one in pink. Isn't it beautiful? And another thing is there's plenty of room here if you want to put somebody's name or maybe an applique, buttons, ribbons, whatever you want to do. We're going to be stitching with our H hook today, and this is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a needle for weaving in your ends, and of course a pair of scissors. We'll be starting at the toe of our stocking. We'll work across, then we'll do the heel portion, and then we'll work up the stocking. It's very simple. It's all worked in double crochets, except the last row we're alternating with front post and double crochets just to give it a fun look. I'm going to begin with my green. I'm going to start with a slip knot, and I'm going to chain 4. The first 3 chains will count as 1 double crochet, and then we're going to stitch 9 double crochets in this 4th chain. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. Our chain 3 counts as 1, so there's 2. Oops, get that string out of the way. We're stitching all of our double crochets in that chain 4. All right, let me count, see how many I have. Here's our chain 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I need 1 more. Our chain 3 counts as our first. We stitched 9 double crochets so that we have 10. We're going to join to the top of our chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. Now, if you have a hole in the center, I like to go ahead and fix that now, because if you wait until you're done with the stocking, you're going to have to do it on the inside of the stocking, and this just makes it a lot easier. Sometimes you'll get a little hole and sometimes you won't. So we'll just thread that string on our needle and we'll just go around that row of stitches and we'll just gather that up. If you prefer to do the magic circle, you certainly can. I just prefer this method myself for this. All right, now I'm going to go back the other way. Make sure it's nice and closed and clip my string. There we go. Now we don't have to worry about that at all. That's all weaved in, and we don't have to come back and take care of it. And that's the way that the first row should look. All right, let's do row 2. Our chain 3 counts is our first double crochet. We're going to place another double crochet in that same stitch. Then we'll place 1 double crochet in the next. Then we'll place 2 double crochets in the next. So we're doing 1 and 2. 2 double crochets in this stitch, 1 double crochet in the next. 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And 1 double crochet in the next. And we'll repeat this all the way around. 2 and 1, or 1 and 2, whichever way you want to say that. 2 and 1. And now we have 2 in the same stitch. And 1, and we should end. Let's count to make sure we've got the right amount. So here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And that's exactly how many you should have. 15 double crochets for row 2. Then we'll join to the top of our chain 3 with a slip stitch. We've joined and we've cut our yarn because we're going to change colors. We're going to bring in the gold. And then we'll chain 3. When changing colors, you should always do your chain 3 after the color change. If you would have done it before, you'd end up with 1 stitch that was green. All right, now for row 3, we're going to place 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets around. Our chain 3 counts as our first, so we'll go to the next one and stitch a double crochet. And we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in each stitch around. And because we have 15 double crochets, row 3 will have 15 double crochets. Try that one again. There we go. One double crochet in each of the double crochets around, and then we'll join to the top of the chain 3. I have stitched 1 double crochet in each stitch around. I'm going to join to my chain 3 with a slip stitch and chain 3. And we're going to repeat on row 4 what we did on row 3. 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets around for 15 double crochets. And again, when we get back around, we'll join to the chain 3. I once again have stitched 1 double crochet in each stitch around. I joined to the top of my chain 3 and chained 3. All right, now for row 5, we're going to place 1 double crochet in the first 10 stitches. Our chain 3 counts as our first one, so we need to stitch 9 more. So here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right, this is 10. Our our chain 3 counted as our first double crochet, and then we stitched 9 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 for 10 double crochets. And what we're doing here is we're forming the bottom portion of our stocking. So we only need 10 double crochets. We're going to leave these last 5 stitches unworked for now. All right, so we're going to chain 3 and turn. And this is the way that it should look for row 5. For row 6, we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of the 10 double crochets. We've chained 3 and that counts as our first, so we're going to turn and stitch 1 double crochet in those next 9 stitches, because remember, our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. There we go. And that's the way row 6 should look. 1 double crochet in each of the 10 stitches, and our chain 3 counted as our first. At the end of row 6, we're not going to chain 3, we're going to cut our yarn. And we're going to go back to our green yarn, or whatever you're using for the heel color of your sock. You know, you can do it in lots of different colors and make each portion a different color if you want to. All right, so we joined in our heel color, which I'm using green. We're going to chain 3, and then we're going to repeat what we did on the last row. 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets, and our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. And again, you should have 10 double crochets. For the whole sock or stocking, the chain 3 counts as a double crochet. All right, we're going to chain 3 and turn. And then we'll repeat that. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and 1 double crochet in each of those stitches. And again, we should have 10 double crochets, counting that chain 3 as our first double crochet. Oops, there we go. Sometimes the yarn just wants to slip off my crochet hook. All right, let's get the top of that chain 3. All right, and now this is how it should look at this point. Now we need to close up the heel, and the way we do that is this is the outside of our stocking. We're going to take the back and we're going to fold it closed, okay? Because we want this to be on the inside, and we're going to stitch slip stitches to close it up. And we're going to go in, okay. Now what I do is I try to do the outside loop so that it lays pretty, and make a slip stitch. You're doing this side and this side going across. Make sure that the heel is closed. Okay, so it's slip stitched closed. We're going to cut our green yarn and tie that off. Now, before we do the next part, I always like to go ahead and weave in the ends. That way I'm not working on the inside of my stocking. And so I'll go ahead and weave this end in. And I go that way, then I turn and come back this way, because I want my end of my yarn to be on the inside. Okay, now we're going to take this and flip it out, and then I want to go ahead and weave in these ends. I'm going to just put them together like that, and then I'll go ahead and take my needle and weave them in. Like I said, I want to go ahead and get it done, that way I'm not fighting on the inside of the stocking to get it finished, because you end up having to turn it wrong side out and, you know, fiddle with it until you get it the way you want it. So if we go ahead and get this taken care of, we don't have to do it again. The last thing we'll have to weave in is when we close at the top. When you're changing colors, you end up having a lot of different yarns that you have to take care of. Alright, so there is how the stocking should look at the toe. Mine's a little pointy there. We can push that in. And the next thing we need to do is, of course, the leg portion. We're going to attach the yarn back at the heel. So we'll just go right in the back of that heel and pull in our yarn and chain 3. And this portion is a little tricky but not hard. What you need to do is you're going to have a total of 22 double crochets around. Okay, so you're going to evenly double crochet and make sure that you're double crocheting in the sides of the stitches and not the holes. If you put the stitch like down here in the hole, you end up with a big gaping hole. So if you put the stitch in the side of the stitch going through the yarn, it gets a much better appearance. And the way that I keep this even is I want to have 22 stitches all the way around. So I'm going to do 11 to make sure that it's in half, and then I'll do 11 on the other side. So my chain 3 counts as 1. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's 6. 7. 8. 9. 10, 11. And you can see when you come to the front, we have stitches that we can work in. All right, so there's my first 11. So I'm going to go on the other side and stitch 11 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's see, 6, oops, 7, 8, 9, it keeps slipping out. There's 10 and 11. So 11 and 11 is 22. So I have 22 stitches, and that's how many stitches you want to have. I'm going to go ahead and chain 3. You can see you want to have 22 stitches around this row, and that's why I did 11 and 11 to try to keep it even. And if you notice, I stitched in the stitches, not the holes, and it just gives it a much better appearance. Now for row 10, we're just going to stitch 1 double crochet and each double crochet around. Our chain 3 counts as our first, so we'll go to the next double crochet and stitch 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets around. And again, we should have 22 because we're not adding or subtracting any stitches. Oops. This gold yarn's just a little bit slippy. Alright, so we're going to stitch 1 double crochet in each of the double crochets around, and we'll join back to the chain 3. I've completed 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. I join to the top of my chain 3 and chain 3. And what we're going to do for 4 more rows is repeat that. 1 double crochet in each double crochet, join to the chain 3 and chain 3 for 4 more rows. I've repeated that for 4 more rows. So we have 6 rows of just 1 double crochet in each double crochet around and join and chain 3. Now in our last row we're not going to chain 3 because we're going to change back to our green color, or if you want to use a different color, that's totally fine. Alright, so I'm bringing back in my green. Snug that down and tuck that in because that's going to need to be tidied up. We're going to chain 3 and we're just going to repeat what we did for these other rows. 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. So I'm stitching 1 double crochet in each double crochet around like we did on the previous rows, and again I'll join to my chain 3. I completed that row of 1 double crochet in each double crochet around. Again I joined to my chain 3 and chained 3. Now this last row we're going to alternate front posts and regular double crochets. Our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and we're going to stitch a front post in the next stitch. If you don't know what that means, all the stitches have the top of them where we normally stitch in those loops, and then they have what's called the post, and the post is the tall portion of the stitch. Yarn over, and we're going to go around and stitch our double crochet. Then we'll go to the next stitch and stitch in the top of the double crochet. There we go. Now we'll go to the next stitch and stitch around the post, front post, double crochet. And we'll alternate this all the way around the top of our stocking. So I'm stitching a regular double crochet and then a front post double crochet in the next. A regular double crochet. Here's the stitch we're skipping, and then front post double crochet. Now, if you look at it, you can see the ridges in between. Make sure that you don't stitch that front post in the wrong place, and it should be every other stitch. That's why I call that skipping. You're not really skipping because you're stitching in the top. Okay, so here's the stitch we stitched in the top, and then I'm going to go in the next one and stitch my front post double crochet. You really have to look at it or you can get yourself off. We have 22 stitches, so we'll have 11 double crochets and 11 front post double crochets, alternating all the way around. Alright, so there's my front post. The next one is a regular double crochet, and then there's the one we stitched in the top, so we'll go to the next one and stitch our front post double crochet. Alright, we'll do this all the way around. Then we'll join back to our chain 3. double crochets and front post, alternating every other stitch all the way around. I've completed that last row, stitching a double crochet, front post, double crochet, front post, all the way around. I joined to the top of my chain 3, and now we're going to make a little loop to hang up our stocking, and we're going to chain 10. Okay, we're going to bring it back down with a slip stitch, and then we'll cut our yarn. Tie that off, and then we want to make sure we attach that really snugly, because if you put anything heavy in here, like a bunch of candy or something, you don't want that to get all stretched out or come unattached. And so I make lots of stitches in there. I go one way and then the other, up and down and across, because I don't want anything I stick inside my stockings to come out. All right. Now we do have to weave this in here as well, and I'll come back in and tidy that up later. Here is the completed 6-inch mini Christmas stocking. And of course, you can make them in lots of different colors, variegated and sparkle, pink and red. Make one that looks like gingerbread. And there's plenty of room for appliques, ribbons, buttons, bows, however you want to embellish them. And also, it's a great way to use up a lot of leftover yarns to make something fun and Christmassy.